assuming the accuracy of those clocks on the wall, I would say that it's 5 o'clock, and I am going to call our meeting to order here. This is the Monday, March the 15th, 2021 meeting, regular meeting of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners, and I ask that you join me in a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as we do at the start of each one of our meetings, we ask that you join us in a moment of silence so that we can think about, pray, and remember all of those that serve us here in Flagler County, our first responders, the brave men and women of our law enforcement, of our sheriff's department and our local law enforcement agencies, and also the brave men and women of our United States military that serve us here and abroad. And also, I would ask that you would think and pray for the 94 souls that we've lost so far due to this terrible pandemic here in Flagler County. Okay, thank you, everyone. Look forward to a good, productive meeting. We have a couple of additions and deletions to the agenda, recommended, and modifications. So first up is modification on item 5. It's been expanded, as you'll see. We now have item 5A, which is the 30-minute public comment and outreach period, which we've always had. And then we've added a new item, item 5B, which is a chance for commissioners to comment on items on the consent agenda, but not necessarily pull them, because they don't necessarily have a voting issue with them, but would like to maybe amplify or comment or make some other remarks regarding those. And we thought that would be a way to maybe provide a little bit more efficiency to the way we do things. We also have a deletion of item 6A1, which was approved already at the March 1st meeting, so that was need to be removed from the agenda. And a request for an addition to the agenda from Commissioner Mullins, which is a proclamation to be added recognizing Todd Phillips Day for March 21st, 2021. And we'll note that as item 4B3. And I would request a motion to modify our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we modify the agenda to add item 4B3 and to delete 6A1.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. That motion carries unanimously. And then in terms of announcements, Commissioners, we've been working on a tri-county meeting with fellow commissioners from Putnam and St. Johns counties, and we tentatively have that scheduled for Thursday, April the 1st at 9 a.m., which would be held in the Putnam County at their chambers in Palatka. So we're looking for board consensus that works for everybody, and that's okay, and we can make that a hard date, and then also make sure we have enough time to do our proper announcements on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner?
just on that meeting, it's great, we're going to do the meeting. Is there going to be some specific items or objectives published prior to the meeting, as opposed to just kind of a grope thing?
I believe so. I'll let Mr. Cameron answer that.
Yes, Commissioner. We've got a list of suggested topics, and we'll be sending those over to the chair so that he can approve those for the agenda, and they'll be published.
Okay.
And then I think on top of that, there's plenty of time for open dialogue as well. So, that's the stated purpose of this meeting.
Right.
So, I guess just administration is looking for consensus so that we're okay on the schedule and we can move forward. So,
That's good for me.
Yeah.
Good for me. Yeah.
all right. There you go, Mr. Cameron. Okay, and then the only other announcement is, well, two things. We have a change, I guess, in an upcoming workshop. Mr. Cameron, we need more time to get that organized, I guess, and we're not ready for that.
Yes, sir. That was the joint workshop with the City of Palm Coast. There's some pretty intricate details that will come up in that workshop, and we just want to make sure that we have got all of the data that we're going to need and have it massaged in a format that's easily presentable.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to put that on the side until we have a more firm date, correct?
It'll just be tabled until we can firm up a date.
Okay? And then the only other announcement is that our next regularly scheduled meeting of this commission will be Monday, April the 5th, and that's our normal 9 a.m. Monday meeting. So that'll do it for announcements by the chair. We'll move forward with recognitions and proclamations and presentations. First up is a recognition and a thank you and farewell to Lauren Shank, who's one of our senior financial analysts. And Mr. Cameron, I guess you're going to handle the honors on that one.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, one of the greatest pleasures you can have is someone that you have worked with that has done really well, and you see them advancing in their careers. I'd like to read you a letter that I sent to Lauren on March the 2nd. Dear Lauren, how exciting this new opportunity as Finance Director for the City of Palatka is for you. What a privilege it's been to watch the tremendous growth you have exhibited during my tenure at Flagler County. A leader can experience no greater reward than to be part of a talented person's achievements. While you will be sorely missed by me and all who have had the privilege of working with you, we share in the excitement of your success story. You set an example of how service to your team and organization leads to greater opportunity. The City of Palatka could not have made a better choice. Know that you have a strong support system here. Please feel free to call anytime we can be of service. Now go out and do great things. It's a painful while you're losing someone and bringing someone back up, but it's really healthy for the organization to be a place that develops people. There is not enough vertical paths to have everybody move up in your own organization. But the next best thing is that you could become known as a place that develops really good people. And Lauren has been good. It's kind of a silent thing that she has saved us through working with me and scouring over budgets, probably on the neighborhood of several $100,000 during the tenure that I've been here. Done an excellent job. I'll miss her, but I'll watch and enjoy the progress that I know she's going to make.
Mr. Chair, John Brower, Financial Services. Lauren's been a valuable member of our team for 5 years now. She's worked hard and consistently took on new areas of responsibility, and as a result, has put herself in a position to take advantage of great opportunity when it came along. That opportunity came a few weeks ago when the Finance Director position for the City of Palatka became available. Although we're sad to see her leave, we're happy to see someone like Lauren benefit from her hard work and commitment, and we wish her great success and happiness in her new position. One focus of the culture we're working hard to instill throughout the county is that of teamwork and working just as hard or harder for the members of your team than for yourself. Many of us over the past year and a half have fully come to appreciate the power of this commitment. We understand now more than ever that the power of the team allows for the greatest of successes and for perseverance through the hardest of times. The motto of the county's Leadership Academy is achieving success through the success of others. We've learned the concept, and once it's understood and embraced, it becomes a little easier to say goodbye to Lauren. Although we are losing a member of our family, we feel we have had a part in helping her grow as a professional and as a leader. We were and are successful precisely because she is successful. Her success makes us proud, and we wish her nothing but the best as she takes on the next challenge in her life. Good luck, Lauren. We will miss you.
Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, Lauren also, while she was serving us as well as she did, proved to be a godsend for the city of Bunnell, and the city manager is here to speak to that.
Great. How are you, sir?
Doing extremely well in yourself, Chairman and County Commissioners. Just on behalf of Mayor Catherine Robinson, our Vice Mayor, and our City Commission, really want to congratulate Lauren for this great opportunity. In this business of public service, I say it's a journey, and so it's the next step in her journey. But really want to personally thank her for her assistance. My first budget I had to encounter, all my finance staff walked out on me, and basically I was sitting on Jerry's doorstep one early morning, and he was so kind to lend Lauren to us to assist us in putting that budget together for that year. That's what I really call a true city-county partnership. Lauren actually came aboard. She was like we didn't know where things were. She dug in. We were able to balance the revenues and the expenses and present a budget to the board that they adopted. It wasn't only just a budget, but it was actually the entire financial operations of the city of Bunnell. And so personally, I want to say thank you as a city manager to be in that position. It's very uncomfortable, but you came aboard, was a team player, joined the team, and helped us through that process. And for that, I'm always indebted to you. Thank you. Good luck on your next journey.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. I just want to take a minute to thank everyone with the county for all of the opportunities that I have been given. I started as a staff assistant and very quickly worked my way up to where I am today. But I especially want to thank Mr. Cameron for seeing my potential from the day that he walked in our door. I did slice and dice the budget a little bit in the beginning, but I'm very thankful for everything that he's done for me. I am excited for the next chapter in my journey, and for me, it's going home. I'm actually from Palaca, so my family's very excited for me to bring all of my skill set home, and they are very proud. And I just want to say that I'm going to miss everyone in the county very much. I have enjoyed every minute of working here, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Lauren. Well done. Well done. Very good. What's our specialty?
Photo op.
Okay, we'll move on to our proclamations. And first up is a proclamation regarding National County Government Month. And Commissioner Hanson, would you do the honors on that, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd be glad to. This is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming April 1 through 30, 2021 as National County Government Month in Flagler County. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties, parishes, and boroughs serving more than 300 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities, and whereas counties provide public health services, administer justice, keep communities safe, foster economic opportunities, and much more. And whereas Flagler County and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas Flagler County is demonstrating how counties matter, especially in supporting residents and businesses during the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners acknowledges the hard work, dedication, and leadership of its employees exhibited on a daily basis across all departments and offices within Flagler County government. And whereas the employees of Flagler County provide a broad array of services in areas including health and human services, building, emergency management engineering, financial services, fire rescue, general services, growth management, innovation technology, land management, library, parks and recreation, planning, public works, tourism and economic development, transportation, and veteran services. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim April 1 through 30, 2021 as National County Government Month and encourage all residents to participate in county government activities and remember that counties matter. Adopted this 15th day of March, 2021, attested by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller, and signed by our own Chairman, Donald T. O'Brien.
Okay, Ms. Holly, I think you have a presentation around this? Or?
Thank you, Commissioners. Holly Albanese, Library Director. I wanted to take an opportunity to do a small presentation. I think the proclamation really said a lot, but let's go through the presentation. So NACO says that basically counties aren't exactly the same. We're diverse in our structure and how we deliver services to the communities. But though our organizational structures vary, we're all on the front lines delivering vital services to residents. So now, counties throughout the U.S., there's 3.6 million county employees that provided services to more than 314 million county residents. And counties are investing across America. According to NACO, almost $60 billion in construction of public facilities, almost $22 billion in sewage and solid waste management, more than $122 billion total in budgeting, building infrastructure, and maintaining and operating public works. Many states are required to provide health care for low-income, uninsured, or underinsured residents. So most counties are contributing about $28 billion to the non-federal share of Medicaid, $35 billion in 3,041 police and sheriff's departments, $26 billion on correctional facilities, almost $11 billion in fire protection activities, almost $93 billion total in justice and public safety services, including the 911 call centers, and almost $19 billion, I missed that one, almost $19 billion on county courts and legal services. So counties are truly investing across America. The other ways they're investing is 257,000 county human service employees across the country delivering vital services to our nation's most vulnerable populations. And in 35 states, they all have county veteran services officers like our state has. And they've secured $80.4 billion in compensation benefits and $67 billion in health benefits for veterans in fiscal year 2017. So we're providing a lot of vital services. And out of that, almost $10 billion to build and maintain parks, libraries, and recreational facilities. So some of the services provided here in Flagler County, I think the proclamation mentioned all of these, so I don't want to go through them all again, but basically we do a lot here at the county level. Some of the awards and grants We've had the hurricane mitigation grants for residents, hardening grants to improve county infrastructure, the SAFER grant, which was the, for fire rescue. We ranked #1 for public library construction grant. Flagler County Fire Leadership Academy was given an award for Florida Association of Counties Best Practices this past year. Tourism Development Website won an Etsy Award, Best Website on a Small Budget, and there we won the Distinguished Budget Award, the GFOA. And in the last year, obviously, we've been dealing with COVID. Some of our responses to COVID included EM testing and vaccines, individual assistance, business assistance, Flagler Cares pass-through grant. There was a Library Cares grant that we received, Pledge to Prevent. And then we adapted strategies to maintain safe business operations, such as library curbside service and virtual passive programming, meal delivery, bus transportation, and facility improvements. Some of the accomplishments and projects that we've done include cell towers, 800 megahertz radio system, transportation software, YouGov, and virtual reporter, drones, GIS search and rescue app, prescribed burns, growth management software, the library credit debit card payment system, Bay Drive Parks sale of utilities to FGUA, FCSO district office, tax collector satellite office, expanded government refurbish, the airport runway refurbish, the air traffic control, groundwork for drones project, Palm Coast Library new teen center, increased reserves, the fund balance, invasive mitigation, tourism starry nights, Fire Leadership Academy, Flagler County Leadership Academy, Community Paramedicine, Fire Leadership Academy, and Flagler County, oh, we already said that, that's twice. So some of the things that are coming soon is the Sheriff's Operations Center that's being built here in Bunnell, the Graham Swamp pedestrian bridge, the dunes restoration, Marine Land Acres drainage, Carver Center expansion, the Southern Library in Bunnell, Wadsworth Park improvements, and the Tyler Munis software implementation. And I have no doubt with the team that you have here, there will be a lot more than that. So I thought it would be nice if we took a moment just to appreciate our county staff and all they do for the county and its residents. So the music is not playing. Well, you can enjoy the staff. There it is. Thank you. So Lily put that together for me, just so you know. I know you're all familiar with Lily and our creative team, and she's so talented. And I don't know if you noticed the drawing on one of them. I had asked her for a picture of her and her team, and instead of giving me an actual photo, she put an actual drawing, which is apropos for Lily, that she did that. So anyways, thank you very much for the proclamation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Holly. All right. Do we need a motion to adopt that proclamation?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the proclamation for National County Government Month.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Okay, next up, we have another proclamation, and that's in recognition of National Library Week, which is coming this April the 4th through the 10th, 2021. And I've asked Commissioner Sullivan if he would please read that for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming April 4th through 10th, 2021 as National Library Week in Flagler County. Whereas libraries of all types are at the heart of their cities, towns, schools, and campuses serving their communities, and whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of belonging and community, and whereas today's libraries and their services extend far beyond the four walls of a building, and everyone is welcome to use their resources. And whereas for people lacking broadband at home, libraries provide access to computers and Wi-Fi, even checking out internet hotspots and laptops for people. Whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all. And whereas in times of crisis, libraries, librarians, and library workers play an invaluable role in supporting their communities both in person and virtually. And whereas to adapt to our changing world, libraries are expanding their resources and continuing to meet the needs of their patrons. And whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all. And whereas libraries long served as trusted and treasured institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim April 4th through 10th, 2021 as National Library Week and encourage all residents to visit the library in person or online and access the resources and services. Because of you, libraries transform lives and communities. Adopted this 15th day of March 2021 and attested by Tom Bexley, clerk of the Circuit Court and Controller, and signed by our chairman, Donald O'Brien. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Holly?
Again, Holly Albanese, Library Director. I have with me tonight the President of the Friends of the Library, Carl Landry, and the Government Liaison, Dan Mullog. And I'm going to go through a few things, and then if the gentleman would like to say a few words. I just wanted to go over this last year. As you know, libraries have had a difficult time during COVID as well. Many libraries across the nation closed when it all happened, and it's no different in the state of Florida. Many libraries did close, and there are some libraries that are still closed to this day. We closed the library to in-person attendance as of March 17th, but immediately began a curbside service. Not all libraries, as a matter of fact, not many, if any, in the state of Florida actually did that. We opened on 5/11, 2020 to an in-person at 25% capacity. Then in June, we increased that to 50%. In May, we began offering virtual programs through our Facebook page. Since May, we have provided 142 virtual programs that has reached more than 46,000 people. In September, to help the K-12 that would be using remote learning options, we added 2 of the evenings back at the main library to accommodate the need for access. We remain at 57 hours per week at the main and 40 hours at Bunnell, with only approximately 30 of our more than 150 volunteers pre-COVID. Even with COVID, the library was used as an early voting site for 3 elections: presidential preference in March, primary in August, and general election in November. During those elections, the library saw about 40% of the total voters that went to the early voting sites during those 3 elections. In June, just to go over some of our accomplishments, in June 2020, we ranked #1 for the 5th year in a row for our construction grant. In February 2020, we completed and had a grand opening for our new 800-square-foot teen center paid by the Friends of the Library, created from demo of 4 small study rooms and a storage closet. The original teen area is now the quiet reading room. In July 2020, we completed the process of adding credit debit card capability and new PC print management system. This is an all-in-one system providing improved services for PC and print management with the added benefit of a point-of-sale system. The new POS has credit card capability and multiple points of payment for all library services, fines, and fees, which includes passport application fees as well. In August 2020, we were awarded the CARES grant of a little bit more than $35,000. Of course, it's going through the state, and we're just starting to receive our items. So recently, we received our book sanitizer, so we're able to sanitize the items as soon as they're returned and get them back on the shelves and back out to the community. So instead of holding them in quarantine for 24 hours, they're getting out to the public much faster. So access is improved. We have also received our subscription to Press Reader, which is an online or virtual magazine and newspaper database. So we now have that available for the public to access. We will get very soon the locker system. The lockers are similar to what you see with Amazon lockers, or when you go to Home Depot, they have lockers. It's similar to that. This will be lockers outside the library, so people can pick up their items 24/7. If they're uncomfortable coming in the library, they'll be able to access their materials that way. And a camera and laptop for our youth services department so that they can have quality equipment to do their virtual programming with. So we started receiving those as of January this year. And just to give you some statistics, because even with COVID, we're still used quite a bit. So we've circulated, and this is going from October 1st, 2019 through September 30th of 2020. We circulated more than 380,000 collection items, including ebooks, presented almost 375 youth programs, which these are in-person programs pre-COVID. Almost 4,000 children and teens attended. Presented 75 programs for adults, including technology classes, attended by almost 1,500, provided more than 123,000 public internet workstation and wireless sessions. Volunteers contributed 6,800 service hours. That is down, again, because of COVID, it's down, but that still saved the county about $185,000 in personnel expenses. And the library still processed more than 1,500 passport applications and 2,000 passport photos during that time and made about $74,000. And we do something, when you check an item out to the library and you get a receipt, at the bottom of that receipt, it tells you how much you've saved by using the library. And if you've not done it, you should check it, because the library assigns a cost to every item. This does not include ebooks. It's just for print materials, CDs, audio, video. And so every time you take it out, it tells you how much you've saved. And as of now, starting October 1st, our annual total for savings for this community is $2,299,507.27 by using the library. That's how much the public has saved as of October 1st. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the County Commission for recognizing Flagler County Library. Flagler County Commission led the way to establish a county-wide library system here in Flagler County. I was out there when they made that decision, Merle Shoemaker. And libraries are important. When high-end businesses and high-paying businesses look to relocate to Florida, first place they look is schools and how successful they are, and libraries. And the amenities often, we've got them all beat with the amenities and the ocean and everything, but they look at schools, they look at libraries. And I know the schools are good. My oldest daughter's a teacher, my youngest daughter's a doctor, and my son is a fire chief. So, I mean, you know, the schools do fine, so. And we've got a great library, and we need more. This is Dan Mellon.
Yeah, I too would like to thank you for your public support. As you can see from the statistics from Holly, the library really has widespread interaction with the public, and it's probably the place where the Flagler County has the most positive interaction. When I go to pay taxes, I don't think what a wonderful place Flagler County is. But when I go to the public library, it's precisely what I think. This is a great place, offers such a wide variety of things from the library, And I just encourage you to continue to support the library and the system as you have in the past. We look forward to the southern branch coming online in the near, not too distant future. Thanks again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you all. I appreciate the information, Holly, and to you gentlemen for your service. I know longtime service on the Friends and also the trustees, and appreciate that very much. So
And thank you for recognizing the library. Appreciate it.
it's our honor and our pleasure. Yeah, can we take a photo with you all, so make sure we get more publicity?
One, two, three. Thanks.
And, Mr. Chairman, make a motion to accept the National Library Week proclamation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. That motion carries unanimously. And then we believe we have one more proclamation for today that we adopted as item 4B3, right? Correct. So Commissioner Mullins.
All right. A proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming March 21st, 2021 as Todd Phillips Day in Flagler County. Whereas William Todd Phillips was an honest, humble, and sincere businessman, community leader, husband, father, brother, and uncle who left an incredible mark on the many lives he touched. And whereas tragically his life was cut short on March 21st, 2020 at the age of 54. And whereas Todd and his twin brother, Tim, founded P&S Paving in 1983 with 5,000, one rented dozer, and one employee. And whereas throughout hard work and integrity, the brothers made the company a leader in asphalt paving and production with 250 employees, major projects throughout Flagler County. And whereas Todd was dedicated to improving his community by supporting many local charities, providing jobs, and improving roads throughout Florida. And whereas the twin brothers added ranching to their interests when they purchased property in Bunnell in 2016 and developed a cattle ranch. And whereas survivors include his wife of 24 years, Debbie Phillips, his children Cole, Tiffany, and Brittany, his mother Judy Phillips Ubel, his father Lex Phillips, and his brothers Tim and Tyler. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby proclaim March 21st, 2021 as Todd Phillips Day, adopted this 15th day of March 2021, Flagler County Board of County Commissioners, signed by our chairman, Donald T. O'Brien, Board of County Commissioners.
Any comments, Commissioner Mullins?
I just want to say it's an honor to do this. Their ranch over on the, again, he's supported and done a lot of work and projects for us throughout the community. They've been done phenomenally well. His ranch over on the west side has been used for events, and beautiful place. If you haven't been there, it's well worth going and seeing. And I believe there's talk about having an event out there Sunday in his honor. But just a beautiful place, and then so much of the stuff that he's done with different clubs and organizations and charities that he supported, Boys and Girls Club, just so much that they have done. The whole family in general, just phenomenal for our community. And it's an honor to do this today.
Commissioner Sullivan?
I would just say that one thing that has always impressed me is when you see them on a job is how their equipment is always like in perfect conditions, and they always do a really great job. So it's a really good company that they put together. Very sad that he died so early.
Yes, and I think they really epitomize the spirit of entrepreneurship and being a local employer and benefiting their community from their hard work and from their financial success. It didn't just go in their pockets. They did a lot to benefit their community and still do. And for that, I think we take the time to do the recognition and appreciate the service. So, anything else, commissioners? You want to make a motion on that, sir?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we recognize March 21st, 2021 as Todd Phillips Day in Flagler County.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner. All right. We'll move on to presentations. And we have a presentation, as we do every meeting, it seems these days, by our Emergency Management Director, Mr. Jonathan Lord, regarding our COVID-19 update.
Good evening, gentlemen. There's been over, as of today, or as of this morning, there's been over 1.9 million, we're getting pretty close to 2 million cases of COVID-19 throughout the U.S., in Florida, resulting in over 32,000 deaths. Here in Flagler County, we're up to 3,260 positive cases as of this morning, with unfortunately 94 deaths. As evident with our increasing numbers, while the rate of new cases has gone down, might be slower, COVID-19 is not over, and we continue to see virus spread. Therefore, it's very important that our workers, our residents, our visitors continue to do those very simple actions of social distancing, face mask wearing, and frequent hand washing, as it is proven that those things really do make a difference. The state continues to distribute COVID-19 vaccines, and we continue to support their efforts to help our community, led by the Florida Department of Health, Flagler. To date, there have been over 6.4 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered throughout the state, with over 30,000 Flagler County residents being recipients of those vaccines. That's an amazing number. Over a quarter, it's actually 26%, over a quarter of our Flagler County residents have received the vaccine. Over 68% of our residents 65 years old and older have received the vaccine. For the last couple commission meetings, I mentioned we've been number 8 out of 67 counties. Last week, we climbed to number 7, so I'm very excited. It's only one little number. It doesn't necessarily mean a whole hill of beans, but it was very exciting to see when we saw our number go from number 8 to number 7. So it just shows that this community is doing the right thing, and that the fairground site is very effective. Our neighboring counties, because as I mentioned before, some of our residents go to neighboring counties, and just like some of the residents from neighboring counties come to us, they're being very effective as well. And also, we have more and more pharmacy to come on board. This past week, Grace Community Pharmacy, I think is their official name, is now offering vaccines on top of CVS, on top of Publix, on top of Winn-Dixie. So you'll see more and more coming on board every week. There's a new entity coming on there. So that's very, very exciting. This past weekend, the state did we call it a mission. They sent down a team to just do teachers 50 years and older through the school district. We partnered with the school district. They brought in a team of nurses and brought in extra vaccine and took care of 150 school employees, public and private school employees, out of the FPC gymnasium, I believe they used, on Saturday and Sunday both. The health department's actually heading back out there next Saturday, is that the 20th, I believe, to do even more vaccines out there for the teachers 50 and older. While those vaccines come through the state and they're restricted to 50 and older for the teachers, just like first responders, those same school employees, so it's not just teachers, those same school employees can actually go to the federal sites, which are in Orlando and Jacksonville, close to us, as well as those pharmacies like CVS and Publix that are getting some of their vaccine through the federal government directly. They can actually get it of any age. Any school employee of any age can get it at those other sites. Unfortunately, they can't do that at the fairground site because those vaccines are gotten through the state, which has to follow the governor's rules, not the federal rules. Though, however, today, the age dropped down to 60 from 65 for eligible residents of Florida. I fully expect that every week, if not every week and a half, you're going to see 5 more years in age go down. Because it's obviously it's a much smaller population from 60 to 65 than 65 up to whatever. So I think you're going to, this week, maybe a little bit of next week, you'll see that population taken care of, and then it dropped further down. Our governor has hinted that he's not going to do any more special groups. I mean, he has his prerogative, he may change his mind, but he has hinted he's not going to do any more special groups. He's just going to chip away at the age and drop it down 5 or 10 years at a time until the whole population is available. My gut tells me it'll probably be 50 years and older by the end of this month. We've only got a couple weeks left this month. And by May, end of May at the extreme latest, it's going to be open to our entire population. most likely, just based on the increase in vaccines that we're seeing in the state's reporting to us, the more and more providers that are coming on board. So that's very exciting. It's very good news for our community, and hopefully we can stay at number 7, maybe climb up to number 6, and maybe become the number 1 county for the number of residents or for the percent of residents vaccinated. That would be great, but our various teams are doing an amazing job at getting the vaccine out. In addition to the vaccine, we're very closely monitoring the rollout of the American Rescue Plan Act, so CARES Act number 2 unofficially. There's a potential that Flagler County on its own will receive $22 million, give or take. We'll likely receive half of that in the next 2 months, and another half of that at least a year later. So it might be a year, it might be a year and a half later, but no earlier than a year after the receipt of those first half of those funds. These funds are a little bit different than the CARES Act funds. One, we do not have to subaward to municipalities. They're going to get their own allocation. And 2, the fact that we're going to get it directly from the Treasury and not go through the state of Florida for those $22 million.
Is there a population delineation for the municipalities, or is it going to flow to every single municipality?
It will go
just
to
like the
every
counties?
single municipality.
Directly.
Yeah, those, sort of. So those municipalities that are CDBG entitlement communities, which in our county is only Palm Coast, will, I believe, are going to get the funds directly. The non-entitlement communities will get it through the state of Florida, I believe, is the current plan.
And have you seen any kind of initial guidelines as to how you're to spend that money?
No, other than the act itself, which is 262 pages long. I know, because I was looking
We
at
have
it.
to pass it first before you understand it. That's what they tell us.
Yeah, so they've passed it. NACO, the National Association of Counties, which Holly was just talking about, they've done their interpretation of it. But honestly, I think it's going to be a few weeks before the Treasury puts out guidance. Since they have 60 days before they have to push the money out, they technically have 60 days to finalize any guidance. So we're waiting on that. I am watching constantly. I know our finance team is watching constantly. We've all been on umpteen webinars with different interpretations of what they think the federal government's ultimately going to say. But we know the money is coming. What we can do with it is, that's a little bit up in the air, but some of the things they did highlight was water and sewer and broadband infrastructure programs. There was special language put in there for that specifically, as well as obviously vaccine rollouts and public health measures and stuff like that, the more common stuff. On top of that, and then we could also do more business grants and more individual grants, but I would also caution that a little bit because there's actually separate money being set aside for business grants and individual grants that will potentially, for our county size, for less than $200,000, that will most likely come through the state and be offered to our businesses and our residents with utility assistance and stuff like that. County will still be involved in that, but we'll probably get kind of like social services got with the CARES Act. We gave some startup money, and then they got an additional grant stream from the state that was federal CARES funds. I think we now know that's going to happen, that there'll be money coming through either the SHIP program or the SNAP program for food and all that stuff. There's literally hundreds upon hundreds of lines of different programs funded through this new Recovery Act. So it's a lot to digest, and I'm chipping away at it as we go, and so is finance.
I think Commissioner Sullivan had a question.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just wanted to make the point, I guess Holly's gone, but Jerry's here. This is a big deal for the state. I read in the newspapers only, I don't know much more detail than that the state may get, even though we get a little shortchanged, $17 billion out of this CARES Act. And before the governor went forward with the budget, there was going to be a pretty big shortfall, and I think they were talking about like $9 billion. So for our programs coming from the state also, we may be better off, I don't know, better off than we thought we were previously. I just want to make sure we're all
Yep.
on top of
Yeah,
that.
I think you've phrased that very, very well. And part of these funds are allowed to be used for revenue replacement. It's not retroactive revenue replacement, it's revenue replacement for losses from theoretically March 3rd onwards through to sometime in 2024. I just don't remember what month it ends in 2024. So it's a lot, and I've been pushing really hard, and finance can attest to this. I emailed the state so we can close out the CARES program, because I'd love to say goodbye to one program as we start the next program. So we've been harassing the state to close out, because we've received all that money, so we'd like to figure out what the state's closeout process in that, so we can focus all of our attention on the next chunk of funds coming.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there is a NACO Department of the Treasury call tomorrow, and it's going to focus on emergency rental assistance. and talk about that. That's at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, just to put that out there.
Yep, actually, yeah, you're right. I saw that and I actually shared that with Joyce, so she would be aware
Yep.
for social services.
We interrupted you. Was there?
No, you're fine. I was just, some of the other programs I was going to lift that's on there, and I think we kind of covered some of them. Behavioral and mental health services assistance, which will probably come through the state. Housing utility assistance, food nutritional assistance, and business assistance, including the re-up of the PPP program as grants. So there's a lot of that. There's so much stuff, and even looking at the act, and I did a really good skim through and highlighted things that fit more to county government in the act. The act doesn't necessarily tell you what the program's going to be. It just highlights the program and provides a dollar amount. But we did some good digging in the legalese today. So
Can I go back on the vaccinations for a second?
Yes, sir.
At what point do you think the administration of the vaccines will be more significant outside of the Department of Health locally?
I think it's
Through all the other points of
Yeah, so
distribution.
we're planning on it. We're going to keep assisting. They'll keep doing it in perpetuity, other than my gut tells me this, and we have to have plans for that, because if something changes, we have to be able to keep. So we're planning as that's going to happen. My gut tells me this summer, the private sector capacity will exceed the need for government to keep pushing it, and government will just be filling those voids for those who can't access the private sector side of it. So I'm thinking this summer.
I was on a call today with senior management from the hospital, from Advent, and one of their concerns is at-risk is not the right, some of the disadvantaged communities, the distrust of local government or government in general, and then distrust of vaccinations, and, are any of those kind of conversations going on with the Department of Health locally? Because their concern is they're not going to, right now, they may not be reaching some of the real vulnerable folks or folks that just, don't have an understanding of where to go to get a vaccination, even though we're putting all this information out, because, they're in harder to reach communities, if you will.
Yep, so we've kind of done the divide and conquer concept with us in the health department. The health department's been working with a lot of, especially the African-American community leaders, and they've been setting up specialized vaccine clinics just for that community, where some of their community leaders are getting vaccinated, are there while the vaccines are going on. So those members of the community that they trust. They've worked closely with the Carver Center. We've worked very closely with some of the African-American churches, as well as I'm trying to think of the name of the place I can picture right now, the African-American History Museum. It's probably the wrong name. The Cultural Center, that's right, on US 1. I've been there, I've spoken there, but I just couldn't think of the name. So they've been working with groups like that. For those that are homebound, the county has taken that on. So that's what their divide and conquer is. So we've been taking that on. It's kind of interesting because we took it on starting in early January and started marketing towards that community and reaching out to that community. The state of Florida is now looking at it statewide because most counties have not done that. They were actually asking for best practice, so we were able to do that. So I kind of funny because that was one of the first things, like, we should think of the most vulnerable first, and we kind of went down that path. The state's now mandating it across the entire state, and we've kind of told the state, we got it, we've been doing it. Anyone you may get, as you guys do your marketing, just send them to us, and they email us people, and they've already sent us 2 folks, which were already on our list anyway. So.
Yeah, I had one of the prominent African-American pastors in town contact me, and they had a retired physician in their congregation that was willing to do vaccinations, and I think they got hooked up with the Department of Health on that, and those are the kinds of things hopefully we'll continue to do. I know my church, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, they're going to start to do vaccinations here pretty soon.
So actually, Bob and I had early on a very good talk about when we get to a certain point where we think that the vaccine supply is good enough to manage the fairgrounds and not detract from its capability, to start working with churches. And Bob has been going out to almost every church in synagogue, we have one synagogue, I believe, in the county, to work with them to try to get, see if they'll host vaccines initially for their congregations, but then additionally, some of the churches said, hey, listen, we're going to open it up as well. We'll manage the registration. We'll do some of that marketing side and provide some of that clerical support. And I think it's worked out very well between them, the pharmacies, the supermarkets with pharmacies, and the fairground site. I think we've got a really, the numbers are showing that it seems to be quite an effective thing. We're going to see a lot more of the churches in the next couple of weeks getting turned on, because now we're getting more vaccine, and the fairgrounds is humming along at a good clip. So instead of pushing more vaccine there, the health department can now push more vaccine to these unique sites.
Great. Anything else, Commissioners? All right. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we'll move on to.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, I'm sorry.
When I made the motion to adjust the agenda,
Yes, sir.
I neglected to include the addition of 5B. So I move that we add 5B to the agenda.
Thank you, sir, for the clarification there.
And I second, and it'll be on a permanent basis, right? It'll be each meeting, we'll do the same thing?
I think that's the intention.
it comes up.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir. Unless we mess it up.
People were doing that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda to add item 5B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, none opposed. That carries unanimously. So we'll move on to the community outreach portion of our agenda. And again, this is a 30-minute time period allocated for public comment on any consent agenda item or topic not on the agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission, and speakers should approach the podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to the chair, and be respectful to everyone here, not just the chair, but everybody. So we're open.
Chairman,
Good evening.
Commissioners. I'm
Yes.
Robin Paletta, Halifax Plantation. Just a couple of comments, and I don't know that the mic is on, is it? Okay. First of all, I wanted to give a shout out to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office for smooth operations during Bike Week. We were definitely hit with a large groups of bikers, and it was great fun seeing them enjoying the beautiful weather and our amenities here. My other comment is that I have a question. I hope it can be answered. There was non-permitted work done on the gardens of Hammock Beach River Club between December 29th, 2021, or excuse me, 2020, and January 13th, 2021, when construction was stopped. Permits, it actually was stopped later. Permits from the county were only issued on the 14th of January. So during that time period, there was illegal pre-construction clearing and so forth going on. My question is what fine, if any, is being assessed? I know that if I'm speeding down the road and get pulled over, I earned that ticket. I think that's true, and it's really a slap in the face to all the construction companies out there who do follow the rules and pay their permitting fees and wait to do their work in an orderly manner. I'm sure Mr. Mullins can appreciate that, having been in the construction industry himself. So I'm posing this question. I'm hoping that an answer is forthcoming. And I'm glad that Flagler County is getting the $22 million in the new COVID relief funding. I'm sure it's going to be put to good use. I know there's so many residents in dire need, and I'm going to be eligible for some of the relief money coming, and I'm already lining up which groups I'm going to send the checks to, because I've got a roof over my head, running water and electricity, and food in the refrigerator. My mother once said, if you've got that, life is good, and your health, of course, and friends. So anyway, I'm glad to see that money's coming through and that you're not following Senator Scott's suggestion of turning it down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Plitt. We will address your question here at the end. Okay. Welcome, Ms. Kara.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kara Hoblick with the Florida Agricultural Museum, and I understand there's a donation of bleachers and a stage coming our way. So I want to publicly thank you for that, and for your, not only for that, but your continued support over the past several years. We are very lucky, the museum is very lucky to have our facility in this county. Whenever I'm out in the community talking about the museum, the one thing I always bring up is that this museum could have ended up anywhere in the state of Florida. And actually, I just recently learned that one of the reasons why the museum was chosen to be in Flagler County is because of the amazing support of the county commissioners and also the citizens of this county. So that was one deciding factor for the Board of Trustees of the Ag Museum to choose Flagler County. So I want to thank you for that. And also just keep your eyes open. We've got a ton of amazing things on the horizon, and you're going to be be happy with what's coming down the road. We need to be a shining star for the Flagler County. We represent the entire state of Florida. Florida agriculture is extremely important to the economy, so we look forward to making the county proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara.
Great job out there.
Hi, my name is Ronald Tomey. Live over in the C-section in Palm Coast. Got my mask tangled up in my hearing aid here, so. One thing I wanted to talk about today is something we can help on a local level, starting with this board. Our Second Amendment rights are under attack right now. Several bills in the House right now lean towards taking away our rights when it comes in concern to the Second Amendment. HR 127 is one that's really concerning. They could actually, the Department of Justice determines who gets to keep protection and who doesn't. With as many senior citizens as we have in Flagler County, I think it's essential that we help protect these rights, especially for the senior citizens. Our Sheriff's Department does a fantastic job when it comes to response times, but there's nothing better than the deterrent that would come along, knowing that the person on the other side of that door may be armed and able to protect themselves. Take away that protection, you remove the deterrent, you leave a lot of people open for being killed or at least injured severely. At a local level, my suggestion would be for this board to consider making Flagler County a Second Amendment sanctuary county. We would work with the Sheriff's Department on what information would be shared with the federal government coming out of this county. We could actually do like a lot of the cities and counties had actually done in concerns to illegal immigration. They just pretty much kicked the federal government out and kept enforcement from happening. So with that, and if you're a law-abiding citizen, that you do have the right to have, own, or carry a firearm, then the federal government should not be able to infringe on that. Too many people, and people that I've had in my family, people that I've known, have been injured and died to ensure that we kept these rights. So, like I said, I'd like this board to consider coming up with a way to make this a sanctuary county so our citizens can have the right to protect themselves and not have to depend on the federal government to tell us what to do. And that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tomey. Did you have something, Commissioner? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the speaker that I think that's something we should consider. But I would take it one step farther and say if we're going to be a sanctuary county, we should be a constitutional sanctuary county, that we support the Constitution here. And that includes the Second Amendment. The sheriff has already said there's no way that he's going to honor any Second Amendment infringements in this county. So, I mean, we've got a good sheriff and a good stand here in the county, but I think that to just say we support the Second Amendment is, we should take it one step farther and say we're a constitutional safety zone for the county.
Can we maybe just hold off on it?
Yeah, that'll hold
Let's
up.
finish the public comment, and then we could, if you all want to talk about that, that's fine. Okay, next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Chris Martin, and I really appreciate Mr. Hanson's comments there. I totally agree with that. I think that would be a great idea to uphold the Constitution, which is being eroded very badly at the moment in lots of respects. I wanted to talk specifically today about mask mandates and to do with COVID. Firstly, somebody said about mandated vaccines as well. My ears pricked up. I didn't hear exactly what he said, but I pray that that is not something that will be considered in this county. And again, reaching out to black communities and, you know, lower income communities, I think Marvin Hagler may have had something to say about that. You know, probably the toughest black guy that I've ever seen. and he just died this week after a week after his COVID vaccine. So I am a health scientist. I know a lot about these vaccinations. They have not been tested properly. You know, they've all been given emergency legislation. They've not been tested on animals. Every time coronavirus vaccines have been given to animals, months later when they catch a common cold, they die. So a Gates-funded piece of research estimates by 2025 100 million decrease in the population of America. You can check this out. It's no lie. Anyway, I wanted to give you some new information that just came out regarding Guy and Tal. It was posted by the CDC. I'll try and be quick. Mask mandates were associated with a 0.5% to 1.8% decrease in COVID cases and a 0.7% to 1.9% increase in death rates. These figures were both statistically insignificant. That means there is no science to them at all. Okay, again, daily death rate and case rates were not statistically different before or after implementation of masks. Now, Mayor Holland, she says that she has to have the mask mandates in buildings here because of health directors Bicknell and Snyder, who were appointed by yourselves. Can you please replace them if they're not adhering to this new scientific advice with new directors who listen to science and not politics? Given the latest CDC science and the fact that most vulnerable people are now vaccinated, if that even helps, it won't protect them from catching it. You know, possibly it protects them from the symptoms, but as I say, it's very, very questionable, the science. Will you now go public in rescinding the unscientific mask mandate imposed on Palm Coast public buildings? Because there are lots of people here who are fed up with it, and Mayor Holland says she's unable to do it because you appoint these people, these health directors. So please, if you give me some comment on that later, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anyone else for public comment? Welcome, sir.
My name is Dean Wall. I live on Water Oak Road. Water Oak Road connects Highway 100 and County Road 2006, which is also known as the Fish Camp Road. Whenever you turn on Water Oak Road from Highway 100, the speed limit is 50 miles an hour. I'm giving that a minute to sink in. After you cross the first bridge, which is roughly a mile from Highway 100, the speed limit drops to 30, and it's 30 for the rest of Water Oak Road. I'm here to ask for two things. I'd like for you to consider evening out that and making it 30 miles an hour throughout the whole Water Oak Road. And it's also my understanding that in July, you're going to pave the rest of Water Oak. I'd strongly suggest that you still keep the speed limit at 30 even after you pave it. If you decide to do either one of these, hopefully you'll do both, you're going to get pushback. You're going to have people bellyache, you're going to have people call, you're going to have people come to meetings and complain that it's too slow and all of that. I encourage you to let that go in one ear and out the other, because I can promise you that the majority, if not all of the people that would be bellyaching about that don't live on Water Oak Road. They're just using it as an access to go to 100. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Wall. Water Oak Road, he's referring to, yeah. And I'm going to ask the county administrator about that here in a moment. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing no one come forward, I will close the public comment or community outreach portion of our agenda. And then we'll talk about a few things here. First, Mrs. Paletta's question regarding fines and/or that situation over there in the gardens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not aware of that particular permit, but we have a standard procedure. If you proceed without a permit, before you can get a permit, you have to pay the penalty for having done work without a permit.
Okay. I think that's proceeding through legal process, if I'm not mistaken. Is that not correct, Mr. Adid? I don't think your mic's on.
Thank you. Thank you, sorry. The Gardens development approval is in court right now. I don't know if the issue of work being done before permits is going to be addressed in the court. I don't believe so. I know that these assertions have been made. I know that Mr. Mengel has addressed them.
Okay. And then,
Chairman?
yes, sir.
This afternoon, there was a message came in kind of summarizing where the Gardens project was related to the legal comment, and they do indicate they've stopped work based on a permit they had. But it's a message that came in this afternoon, and it kind of summarizes where they are.
But that message, if I'm not mistaken, was from the group that's
Yeah.
an interested party in this.
Yeah. I agree, but it kind of summarized where we were. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It provided information, that's all.
From their side.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. I think you might have had a comment, Commissioner Sullivan, on the Second Amendment.
I'm not right now.
No? Okay.
I wanted to, well, I might as well say something. I agree with Commissioner Hanson and where we are. And the one thing I'd say is, and this is, I hate to do this because it's a political statement, but based on the former administration we had in office, I wasn't as worried about this issue as I am now. And I know that's political, but that's my comment.
Okay. With respect to mask mandates, none of us have anything to say regarding another governmental body, local governmental body, and their rules and regulations and mandates or not, lack of mandates. So it's not for our place to have anything to say regarding what the city of Palm Coast does or the mayor of the city of Palm Coast. No, there's no discussion here. Mr. Martin, there's no discussion between. Okay, so that's my comments as far as that goes. With respect to our buildings, we've had dialogue as commissioners that we would, when we felt the time was right, have a discussion about whether we wanted to minimize or change our entry procedures for our buildings, and I don't hear any desire to do that at this point, so, yeah. Sir, okay, thank you. Never mind.
Yeah, I was going to wait for my comments to say something, but I can do it now if you want.
Yeah, please.
I totally agree that the mask, social distancing should remain in place. But we already now, with the tax collector's office and the library, have stopped doing the temperature checks. The indication that I have, it's hearsay as opposed to, a study, is we've had almost no positives on temperature requirements. I think our county administrator can talk to it more, but I think one thing we could do, and it might just make things better, is what I'm saying, is we wouldn't change the mask requirements, but to have everybody checked for temperature coming in and out. I would think we're at the point, based on statistics, where it's not effective. It's not an effective measure, and I think we can make things a little bit easier for us to at some point remove that temperature check. And I would hope maybe by the end of the month. But that's the comment I was going to make on that. Not masks, but at least the temperature checks, and maybe our county administrator might be able to say something on that.
My information that I have is that at the back door here, we've had 0 people with a temperature, and at the front door, I think the last report I had was 3 people that were turned away for temperature during the last year. With regard of whether to discontinue it or not, my expert is Jonathan Lord. I go to him for those kinds of questions, and he'd be the best evidence here for you.
Jonathan Lord, Emergency Management Director. So with the CDC guidance, the temperature check is still one of the tools they list as a whole suite of tools to help limit spread it in the workplace. However, I will be the first to admit, and I've even spoken with the health department about it, it's probably the least effective of the tools because temperature is not the best indicator of whether or not someone has COVID-19 or not, and actually looks like a lot more of the spread these days is asymptomatic people anyway, where these things make the difference more than anything else. However, about a week or so ago, maybe it's 2 weeks at this point, we did poll the other constitutional officers as they share space in our facilities, as well as the school district, as well as the court administrator. And we had, most of the constitutional officers were okay with the change. However, there was one that would rather the temperature check stay in place, and there was another that really shared really good language, which I kind of liked, which was, it's not bothering anybody. Why change it now? Was language about someone else. And then on the court administration side, the court does have a different set of rules for them to start up cases again and maintain continuing cases. So my suggestion would be as we kind of look, and we've done this already when we looked at, you mentioned the tax collector's office, the library, kind of looking at it on a building by building basis and definitely consider the impact of the tenants inside those facilities. And like the court, they can't, because for court to stay in session, they must continue to do that per the court administration. Again, that might be a more of a unique situation. However, I think the temperature check does provide your staff as well as the constitutional officer staff maybe a little bit of more psychological comfort working inside of one of your facilities. I would just share that as just an anecdote from just talking to folks, is they just feel more comfortable because that's happening. But as I shared also, it is the least effective of the tools that the CDC recommends. And even the health department says they're still doing it over at their facility, which again is technically a county facility, even though it's staffed by state employees. But they also admit it's the least effective, but they're not as publicly accessed as the GSB is per se.
Did you have something else, Mr. Cameron?
Yes, sir. It was with regard to the speaker on a different subject I didn't get to, but that was the Second Amendment. I just wanted to make clear, it cited a lot of facts. I don't know which of those may have been correct or not, but one was wrong. You do not appoint Bob Schneider. That's absolutely wrong. That is a state agency, and the state hires Bob Schneider. We get the input.
Well, we appreciate the clarification, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else for Jonathan?
Yeah, I understand the point. The question is, at some point, we have to start working our way back to normalcy. And to me, the temperature checks is one of the minimum things that can be done to just show that progress is being made, and the county is doing a good job. And since there's such a very low, almost insignificant positive reaction to the temperature checks, I just think this thing about just because you want some people to feel good is different than what we do as a government that's realistic. And so therefore, I just want to start to look hard at what we're doing to make people feel good as opposed to what is really effective. I'm not saying anything about the masks, just that the temperature checks need to be a burden to people who have to do the job, and it slows things down.
And I agree wholeheartedly. I just wanted to make sure you all had some of the facts, that we had done some of the research and just polled the impacts, so just so you were all aware of that.
That's my case.
Okay. All right. And then the last item from public comment was Mr. Wall's comment regarding the speed limit on Water Oak Road. I have to tell you, he asked me to go look at it as well, and I did go out there and was kind of confused about that transition. So does warrant a discussion, or maybe if you want to bring it back at the next meeting. I'm not sure how you want to handle it, Mr. Cameron.
I have assigned that to county engineering to tell me if there's some reason that we couldn't do that, and I should have that answer by the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Good. Appreciate it. All right. If that's, I think that's it with respect to responding to some of the comments, and thank you, everyone, for participating. In terms of item 5P, Commissioners, just kind of go down the line. Is there anyone that wishes to make a comment on something that you're not going to, but you still want to make a comment on something you're not going to pull from the consent agenda? So,
No.
Commissioner?
Nothing. Nothing, sir.
Commissioner, all right, thank you. All right, so check that one off pretty fast. All right, so we'll move to the consent agenda. Anything you need to pull from the consent agenda, Commissioner Dance?
No, sir.
Commissioner Hanson?
I have nothing, sir.
Okay,
I have nothing.
And nothing.
and neither does the chair, so we have a clean break on that.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman, I
Hanson.
move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, that motion carries unanimously. All right. We have no general business. We have no public hearings. So we'll move on to item 10, which is additional reports and comments. And we have County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, there's a lot of talk about broadband. There's a lot of broadband in this Rescue Act. And I have appointed Jorge Salinas, our Chief of Staff, to head up the staff initiative to support the broadband working group and to identify what grants are available and how to best go about doing this. I anticipate a good result from it. What I've seen so far from him is very good. We'll get a report back to you either the first week in April or the second week in April about the status of that. We need to know a little more about this federal grant. But there are some other things in the works too with the private providers that we may be able to give you a favorable report on. I just wanted to point out that in the National Association of Counties, in their February the 9th news publication, they recognized again our efforts on in-home vaccinations. That's a national publication, so Flagler County did receive some national recognition on that. If Jared has available pictures on the resolution, Commissioner Hanson and I believe Commissioner Dance were also talking with neighbors out there, and Commissioner Hanson notified me that they'd forged an agreement that was acceptable to everybody to resolve that issue that was pending. And that's a picture of what staff did at the suggestion of the commissioners and the neighborhood.
I'd like to point out that that cable between there is, they can see it at night. It lights up at night. I mean, it glows at night, so that's pretty nice. Real high-tech solution.
So the report that y'all asked for periodically on how much we were spending with regard to paid leave, and we still have additional security, but in paid leave due to COVID, it's right at $19,000, just a shade under. I'm happy to tell you that we believe that we will be able to recapture that with the Rescue Act and continue that policy on through, I think, September as a paid thing. And
So you're telling me we would have $21,981,000 left over to spend after the $19,000?
that is correct, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure I got the math right.
You got it right. But that is good news. We thought we were going to have to pick that up, and we will be able to handle that through the Rescue Act. We believe. Nobody's real sure yet because we haven't heard from Treasury on it, but it appears that way. In addition to those appearances, there's a heavy sewer and utility potable water expansion. There's some things that have been plaguing the county. I won't be specific, but we have got those on a high priority to see if we can solve some of those longstanding and critical issues with some of this funding. And that concludes my report, sir.
I think
Just,
Commissioner Sullivan had a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just two questions. You don't have to answer them tonight, Mr. Cameron, but one of the real high priority issues is, I know, and you're working on this, is building a master plan for our fire department for the future. And I just want to mention that we are interested in that, and if you can maybe give us just a little idea of where we are as far as when that will be ready to come back to the board. And the second one is, I've kind of lost track of this, it's my own fault. We were instituting new budget software for our budgeting process and other things. And just a quick update on where we are on installing that.
I'll take the last first, and the implementation of the Tyler software is currently scheduled for June as an implementation date. It has been delayed for several times. I did hear today that there was some discussion that the clerk's office had expressed some concern about whether or not that was going to be progressing as planned. I haven't talked to the clerk's office. I only got that information late this afternoon. But if that's not a delay, if it's just some procedural thing, I would anticipate that it would be implemented no later than the end of June. With regard to the fire master plan, the data is being collected. It is a little bit complicated on a master plan because the last thing you want to do is to place a station out of position. If you place a station out of position, you are essentially wasting tax dollars perpetually because you're having to staff and maintain that station. So we're working with the other chiefs in the other two jurisdictions with fire departments to determine how we can minimize those duplications of efforts through interlocal agreements. That is progressing nicely. The chiefs are working together. I would anticipate certainly within the next 60 days or so, we could bring something to you. I do know that there has been some preliminary inquiries and discussions. There is nothing in the way of a valid document that's available at this time. We do have a very rough draft that we put together to be perused by the fire department and maybe used as a starting place to develop a strategic plan, but that's the only thing we have written. We have done a good bit of research, and we're confident that we're going to have a good plan, and it should be within the next 60 days.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Anything else, Mr. Cameron? Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Hadid.
Thank you, sir. Members of the commission, I wanted to update you on two actions that we've just recently filed, that is lawsuits in the court. I had mentioned to you that they were headed to court. One of them has to do with the Old Dixie Motel. It's the first time we have used the public nuisance statute to address a situation in Flagler County. We've filed for temporary and permanent injunctive relief to abate the public nuisance that is the present Dixie Motel on Old Dixie Highway. The basis for that case is that the motel has been abandoned, is unsecured. There's a large amount of refuse, overgrown vegetation, vegetative debris throughout the premises. Also on the property is an unsecured and partially filled swimming pool containing green stagnant water. We have determined that the motel is unsafe, unsanitary, actually reading here from our allegations, that it constitutes a fire hazard, is dangerous to human life, and is a hazard to the safety and health of the community by reason of inadequate maintenance and dilapidation. The fire alarm system doesn't work. There's no potable water service. The electric service has been vandalized, not operable. The roof structure has partially collapsed, allowing water to enter the structure. Large sections of the second floor railing are absent, which is a high risk of serious injury or death to people that may go onto the property. A high percentage of the windows are broken out, allowing water and rodents to enter the structure. The property is not secure. It's open, it's accessible, it's fostering vagrants, and is a location of repeated criminal activity. As I mentioned to you, the swimming pool is not secured. It's partially filled with water. It's a danger to the public of serious injury and or death, particularly to children. The sheriff has joined us in this effort by documenting the problems surrounding the site. Health Department has likewise, they have secured a sanitary nuisance order that is a state of Florida order against the property, but the owners have not complied with it. So working with the sheriff, the health department, our own county departments, that would involve the growth management department, the building official, code enforcement, administration, and purchasing, all of those parts have collaborated, all of those agencies have collaborated in order to bring this suit. We've asked for permanent and injunctive relief, the demolition of the building. We have issued our certificate that it is an unsafe structure per the Florida Building Code, and we are proceeding to abate the nuisance either voluntarily, immediately with the owners, or to get a court order that will allow us to do it in their stead and secure our costs in doing so by a lien on the property. So that's the first time we've ever had to use the state public nuisance statute. I wanted to let you know the degree of collaboration and seriousness of the efforts that have been undertaken on behalf of the citizens. So that is the first case that I wanted to mention to you. Any questions on it?
Timeframe.
Well, it's now pending, and we actually have a meeting scheduled with some potential purchasers that are interested in looking at the property and that claim, anyway, that they would remediate these conditions. Other than that, we are still proceeding, irrespective of that interest, we're still proceeding to get a court order. So we'll be trying to secure a hearing before the court. Just filed. Any other questions? Okay, the next case that which we filed last week, Friday, was against Universal Engineering Sciences. That was the company that did the independent assessment of the building located on Northwest Palm Coast Parkway, the former Sears building. They're an independent engineering, testing, and building inspection company that the county uses in order to evaluate buildings before we purchase them, or properties before we purchase them. We issued them a work authorization under our contract to examine this site and to ascertain if there was any problems with respect to the foundation, the floors, the walls, or the roof, and any evidence of moisture penetration. They provided us a report that found no such evidence of moisture penetration or problems with those structural elements. Based on that, we went ahead with the closing. Shortly after the closing, there was a significant water intrusion into the building that had not been identified as a risk factor, and we found that there was significant damage in the past to those structural elements because of repeated water penetration. So we've sued the company that we hired for the purpose of giving us their best professional estimate. They failed to do that, to apply standard procedures for making these evaluations. So we're charging them with breach of contract and negligence, and we are looking to recover damages that we've not been able to recoup from the resale of the building. As you all know, we were able to bid it out. We did get a resale contract that went through that brought us a gross amount of $900,000. Out of that, we netted about $840,000 after deducting expenses. So we have, in addition to that net of about $840,000 of recovery, we have about $300,000 to $400,000 in additional damages that we're looking to be reimbursed for based on this lawsuit that we've just filed. So we've just filed it, and we'll proceed in due course. We're asking for a jury trial and obviously on the damages claim. Any questions on that suit? Okay. With respect to the Dunes project, we are still working with our partners and proceeding to secure the easements for which we lack. So that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hadid. Okay, we have the second session of our community outreach. Again, this is a 30-minute time period allocated for public comment for items not on the agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission, and speakers should please approach the podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to the chair.
Robin Paletta, Halifax Plantation. I just want to clarify some, in case there's any confusion, Chairman and Commissioners, regarding the issue of the fines for the unpermitted work. I'm talking about the permits that would be issued by our own Planning and Development Department under Mr. Mengel. And when I kept checking, because the county gave the preliminary approval back on November 16th, I was monitoring, and from the middle of December on until, in fact, I even emailed your commissioners with a question about this. I think it was like January, I'd have to go back and check, but I think it was like January 12th. I had emailed with a question about, where are the permits for this work when it's being done, and there's nothing posted, because there's nothing posted on the page saying that they've been issued from the time we started checking. And so then all of a sudden, on January 14th, bingo, there's a bunch of permits that are approved for the preliminary ground construction. And I'm not talking about surveying, I'm talking about heavy equipment being in there for those 16 days without permits. So they're really, my question is, what are the fines? When are they going to be assessed, and how much? So thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing no one else approach the podium, I'll close public comment. I guess maybe, is that something you want to address with Ms. Paletta offline?
Yes, I'll get the answer to those questions and
Okay.
get it to them.
All right, that's fine. So, I mean, I don't think we're prepared to answer those questions this evening, so we'll have to do it that way.
I don't have the specifics on that particular project. I just know that we have a general protocol, but I'll get the answers.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to commission reports, comments or actions, and Commissioner Dance.
None today, thank you.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. I didn't understand on the meeting that we're going to have with the Palatka, or with the county over there, what the topics were going to be. That was not clear to me how we're going to.
So the meeting is with the Putnam
Putnam
County
County,
Commission and the St. Johns County Commission.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Cameron he's had a couple of meetings with the other
Okay.
administrators, and they were working out.
But we'll know before we go.
Yeah,
And I did ask that earlier in the meeting.
I know, but I didn't understand the answer. That's all.
yeah, the answer is they're deciding on an agenda. They have been exchanging ideas and questions, and we would have a formalized agenda before we have the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I can send the proposed topics out, as long as nobody does a reply to all, be happy to do that.
I got you.
Anything else, Commissioner? Okay.
Just wanted to update a few things. Another two town halls down there last week. A lot of happy people. Just minor stuff that they're wanting to get tweaked and done. I went out, our roads and bridges guy, Ryan? Yeah, I went out with Ryan and looked at some of the sites. What a great guy. And really on top of it, he has a plan to address things on a regular maintenance schedule, really cleaning that program up. Instead of being reactive, he's being proactive. Was really impressed with him. Just wanted to let you other commissioners know that he knows what he's doing. He's a sharp guy.
By the way, Commissioner, he's in the Leadership Academy.
Yeah, well, I'll get into that. Darlene has attended those town halls with me. She has, I've done probably close, since I've been in office, over 40 town halls, and because there's so many areas out there in the West that are unique. And she has been one of the best at going in. She does them better than I could. And she answers the questions, she talks to them. But this is night and day improvement since she's started that Leadership Academy. I'm really impressed with the, just addressing people, solving the problems, not sitting there giving them some excuse and turning them in a circle, but addressing it and speaking very boldly to the group. Really impressed with her. The YouGov Flagler app, a lot of positive response with it. Really impressed again that $2,800 did that app. I think the municipalities ought to look at something like this and duplicate it if they want to see success, because a lot of people are very happy with it. And I think it's going to actually cut down on some of the emails to us when people realize that they can speak directly to the problem solvers. That's one thing I encouraged them, still send me an email if you want to, but you're speaking to the exact person that needs to solve the problem. So I'm really confident on that. And I agree with Commissioner Hanson. I think Second Amendment's been a very big thing I've been strong with, but I think we need to look at a total county, constitutional county, because there's so many of our constitutional rights that I'm concerned with today. So that's something to dwell in. And Second Amendment, I know we value our guns here in the county, and I also know that a lot of revenue comes in from the issue of concealed carry permits for Flagler County, and it's something we treat very seriously. We're very fortunate to be one of the few counties that does that. So I know it'd be a tough time in this county to reverse something like that, to take that away from us. But I think we look at the whole constitutional situation. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Solomon?
Right, on the YouGov Flagler app, Commissioner Hanson and myself did talk about that at one of the last committee meetings, Republican Executive Committee meeting, and passed out the information and was well received. I know at Grand Haven, I've passed it out at the office to the inhabitants there. So I think it is a really good thing and making progress, and I encourage everybody to do the same thing. As you meet with your groups and stuff, make sure you give them one of those cards so they'll know how to use the app. And we did do a little of that the other night.
Yeah, the Hammond Community Association is already putting it out.
Great.
It's receiving rave
I
reviews.
think it's a good, but I think for all of us, as we go to our various groups, to take a bunch of those cards with you and pass them out. Other than that, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Chair has nothing, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Adjourn. All right, thank you, everyone.